Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. And today's episode is One Punch Man Ova Episode 1, Road to Hero. So the episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So in this episode, we start with a frog monster running with a bunch of stuff stuffed under his shirt, and we see Saitama with hair and his tracksuit in his early hero days chasing after him, and then he jumps and his pants get caught on a light or telephone pole, like an electric pole, and it ends up ripping the pants so that his underwear is showing, and this of course makes the villain laugh, which results in the villain being beat up by Saitama, who then goes to his tailor, who has been helping him out even though he doesn't have the money to pay, with repairing his clothes and knows that he is a hero for fun. While they're there, the tailor offers to make Saitama a hero outfit. However, the design that he shows is one that is historically inspired and not necessarily Saitama's style. So Saitama basically, in order to decline politely, says that, he wears his tracksuit to remind him of his origins. And so he couldn't possibly change that until he was like a pro hero. And right now it's just a hobby. He's just getting started. Nobody even knows him. And the tailor is very disappointed, but understands his reasoning. And so, well, at least the reasoning that he was provided. And so Saitama goes. We see that the tailor is in trouble with some loan sharks. And when Saitama comes back to collect his tracksuit, he finds out that it's the last day the store is going to be open because a thug has come and taken the store ownership papers in lieu of the remaining loan amounts that the tailor can't afford because of its abnormally high interest, or rather illegally high interest. So Saitama then gets directions to the head office of these loan sharks because they're breaking the law, as the law puts like a limit on, the number of or the amount of interest that they can charge on a loan. And he realizes that it's actually located in the apartment he lives in, and he doesn't actually know his neighbors that well. And it just so happens that the landlady is trying to evict him because he hasn't paid his rent in the last 3 months. So anyways, he goes door to door and he basically is looking for this loan shark. As he goes to the various doors, he happens to find out that not only are there a bunch of criminals in the building, but they also have bounties. And so he basically goes around knocking them out, collecting them, before he eventually gets to the boss of the loan sharks, who has been going above and beyond to be evil so that he could turn into a monster, and successfully manages to turn into a monster while Saitama's there. However, he also is defeated by Saitama, who then brings him alongside his goons that have been living in the building to the landlady's door and basically says, I don't have money, but all of these people have bounties. I've already called the police. And the landlady is so angry because she already knew about their criminal activities and they were her main source of income. So she ends up kicking Saitama out. And then Saitama goes to the tailors, who says that, you know what, thank you for getting my store papers back, but I'm actually planning to retire. However, you've inspired me, and here's a hero suit. You don't have to wear it, but you can if you want to. And then also tells him about the ghost town that's on the outskirts of City Z, where all of the necessary facilities to live are still set up, but all the residents have fled. So it's basically, if you're strong enough, free living. And that is when we cut to where we see that Saitama has been telling this story to Genos, who has noted that when he first put on the outfit, he thought it made him look a little bit like a pervert, but over time he got used to wearing it. And then Genos, what he takes from that story is basically that he doesn't want the soy sauce stained suit, but because it's attached to memories, he can't let it go, and then offers to buy Saitama a new one as a present, and Saitama, of course, refuses, saying that he completely missed the point of his story. And so now we come to our rankings, and as always, we'll be ranking on our mostly objective ranking, which is void of emotion, but bias and judgment can still apply, and then the personal ranking, which is the emotional ranking after that. So our mostly objective rank values for this episode, we have our single episode supporting character introductions. So the only named character was Fish of Darkness, which is the loan shark who turns into like a BDSM fish guy while Saitama's trying to get the owner's store back by citing the law to him. I do want to honorably mention that the tailor, despite the fact that he is not named at all, like not even online, was also a significant character, but because he had no name, I can't really count him towards points. So it's still 1 point, but I will honorably mention the tailor. Then we have our multi-season main character development, which is where we get the origin of Saitama's hero outfit, like who made it for him, where it came from, and also that it's made out of a special material that's virtually indestructible, hence why it can hold up to his strength and all of the battles that he's been in relatively undamaged. And then, of course, also the origin of him living in the ghost town, as at the end of this episode, the tailor tells him about the place once he gets kicked out of his house. And we see in this series that he obviously is still living there to this day. So that is the origin of that as well. Worth 4 points. And then we had some world building. So in season 2, of course, they introduced monster cells as a way to turn humans into monsters. However, we also see that prior to the monster cells, it did happen organically, and it would happen that those who take evil to a new level are able to become blessed as monsters, which is what the loan shark's goal was from the start. And we can see throughout the episode before he transforms in front of Saitama that he's kind of like pulsing, like waiting for it to happen. And that was his goal all along. Obviously, negative messaging or behavior, there wasn't really any negative messaging or behavior I felt from anyone who wasn't specifically a villain, and therefore I didn't take any points in this episode, nor did I feel like any of the other negative qualities applied to this episode, and as such, that makes this episode a 9 out of 10. Now, of course, our overranking so far, there's only one so far, and that is Road to Hero, which is in first. So for my personal ranking of this episode, I did not think that it was a bad episode. I actually thought it was pretty good. Personally, I have a bit of a interest in character backstories. I always enjoy flashbacks if I like the characters, and I do happen to like Saitama as a character, so I did enjoy the flashback to the origin of where his suit came from and how he ended up living in the ghost town where we find him at the start of season 1, still living. So overall, like I enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought the tailor was very nice, seemed like a very sweet person, helping Saitama out for free, even when his store is in financial distress. I mean, that's a very sweet thing to do, obviously. I also found it kind of funny how at the end of the episode he kind of takes off his like little rug that he had on his head, the toupee, um, showing that he also was somewhat bald. I also found it a little bit funny that Saitama thought his hero outfit, he wears it because of the memories attached and because he did grow to like it, But he did note that when he first got it, he would wear it under his tracksuit because he thought it made him look a little bit like a pervert. And of course, the ending gave me a chuckle with Genos taking completely the wrong point from the whole story. The whole back and forth with the loan shark and Saitama living in the building with his landlady, I did find it funny how she notes that if she had wanted to call the police, she would have done so already, and that he's taken away her main source of income. So his plan to basically pay the rent with the bounties kind of backfired on him. Um, the monster, I did like how it gave some insight into how monsters were made prior to the monster cells, that it could just happen organically to people who had like, well, with monsters in season one, I feel like it's either strong obsession or who are very evil or whose strong obsession leads them to be evil. But either way, I found that interesting as well. But like action-wise, there really wasn't much action in the episode. It was interesting for the knowledge gained, but not necessarily riveting. Yeah, it just wasn't riveting. So, because of that, I decided to give it a 6 out of 10 because of the knowledge that we're gaining. It has to be in the positive points, and I did find the information we gained interesting, but ultimately not riveting. Didn't, make you excited to watch, didn't elicit any sort of tension or, concern. Even the funny comedy parts were kind of here and there scattered about, but not overly high. And it's like, if you're not going to do the action side of things, at least do the comedy side of things, which it didn't do. So I felt 6 was fair. And of course, it's the only episode so far in the OVAs, like the first one of the OVAs that we're doing. So Road to Hero is currently in first. And that now brings us to the series ranking so far. And on our mostly objective ranking, Season 1 was in first place with 88.33%, Season 2 in second with 74.17%, and the OVAs so far have a score of 9 out of 130. On the personal side, Season 1 ended with 76.67%, Season 2 with 65.83%, and the OVAs currently have a score of 6 out of a possible 130. And with that, we've now rewatched and ranked One Punch Man Ova Episode 1, Road to Hero. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.